Beaming to you from the Plastic Microphone Studios, deep in the heart of Cajun country. Welcome to Fave for Bands. I'm your ever enthusiastic, somewhat, I don't know. Anyway, we'll figure it out. Jamie Ray, and I am thrilled to have you for another exciting episode of the podcast dedicated to all things favorite. Well, let's welcome our guest. It's him again. Yeah. Okay. And then we can get right into discover our fave fives. Somehow today, author, editor, event coordinator Mark Scioneaux has forced his way onto the Plastic Microphone Studios Zoom line to discuss our fave five slashers and the movies that they were in. Mark, welcome back.
Hello, boys. I'm back.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. I'm kind of running on fumes with this October is so busy. Busy for festivals, busy for friend get-togethers. We have just been it seems like something is every day. There's something going on. We celebrated, it was kind of nice. You and I celebrated our 1 year anniversary last weekend because I was driving to Rougarou Fest, and that is when our Fave 5 Non-Romero Zombie podcast dropped, which was the very first one we did together.
The one that started it all.
The one that started it all, which is so kind of wild when you think about it's only been a year.
Yeah.
I feel
feels like it's been a lot.
Yeah, it feels like it's been a long time. I mean, it really feels like it when you do these podcasts. But yeah, it was kind of a nice feeling to know, where it started and that we've gone on to do other shows and we're still doing them and having fun. So I thought that was nice.
I did too. That's cool. I didn't realize that. And then of course we just got to see each other too in real life person. And we're going to talk about that later before we get to our penultimate choices.
Right.
But it's good to see you. So this is going to be a very interesting list. The topic again is our fave five slashers and the movies that they were in. And before we kind of dive into it, we'll talk about it for just a little bit because, again, it's kind of like our non-Romero zombie films. We decided to stay away from the big boys. And, we've got your Jason, you got Michael, you got, those kind of guys that are known. So we tried to pick some that were maybe from a little bit more obscure films. Did that give you some trouble to make your list?
I think I have a good combination of some well-knowns mixed with some relatively unknowns or lesser knowns. When we had discussed the rules, it was no Michael Myers, Jason, Leatherface, Freddy, or Chucky. I mean, that would have made a fave five right there.
Yeah.
I think I made it more difficult on myself too, because I also decided not to include Ghostface.
Okay.
But that's my own personal thing.
He's got seven movies or something like that. So
it's just yeah. I mean, at this point, you're just I don't know. I guess maybe that's the fun part of your podcast is you can dare to be a little different. And I don't think it wouldn't be very fun. I think for the audience, just to hear us talk about how great Michael Myers and Jason and Freddy are. It's like we already know how great they are.
Yeah. We got 22 people who are listening to this every week. So
right. All 22 of them would just be outraged. So I think my list is interesting, and I think there's going to be some that kind of throw it for a loop. I think the term slasher is kind of a term that is reserved for those Michael Myers and Jason's.
Yeah.
Slasher gets interchangeable with killer, and I think that's where I went with it more.
Okay.
So we're going to just see. We'll see how this list plays out.
Yeah. I specifically made the list where there was slashing involved. So
it was technically slashing in all of these, so we're good.
Yeah. There was a couple that I had on the list, and then when I really started thinking about it, I was like, ugh. Yeah, they weren't really slashers. They were people who were just kind of using what was around them.
Yeah. So I'm not sure. I got a mix of that, I think. So
it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
It'll be fun.
Well,
No, in the end, they all use what's around them,
that's right. Yeah.
in a way. So,
Sometimes they bring their own toys, but
and that's true. Right.
well, all right. Well, if you've listened to the show before, we're going to start off with Mark's honorable mentions, and those are things that just couldn't quite get on the top, the top or the bottom of his Fave Five, or even in the middle somewhere. Um, but they had to be mentioned, or they were just like really cuckoo crazy off the wall, and you couldn't not have them on a list. So, buddy, I think if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's get started with your list.
Yeah. So after listing 47 honorable mentions for the 80s show, Jamie.
Wait. Time out. You told me something the other day. What did your dad say?
Oh yeah, my dad, he got mad at me for not following the rules of the podcast. And I was going to say, Jamie also sent me a cease and desist from his attorney, which I had to get my attorney to also look at. So now I've agreed to terms. I had to sign terms and conditions to where I would only list two honorable mentions, or else I'm getting sued again.
Oh,
So um,
I
I
love
should
that. I'm sorry.
hurt
I
my
love that.
Yeah. So anyway, it's kind of what
Anyway,
my dad's.
okay.
My dad was like, "What you did was funny, but you can't go to the well again." And I said, "You know what? That's true." I was like, "Because then, it's not fun anymore." So
Well, why do I think that you're going to find another way to do it in the
no,
future after it calms down a little bit?
100%, it will happen again in the future. But right now, it is not. I have my two honorable mentions
All right.
per the terms and conditions that I agreed to.
Set forth in our
Um,
agreement.
the first honorable mention is from a movie this year,
Oh,
and his name is Johnny from
okay.
the movie In a Violent Nature.
Nature. Yes.
And it is such a throwback to the gritty slasher movies of old. You follow him as it's like an over the shoulder camera shot where you just follow Johnny, who is this masked killer who is on his quest for revenge. Because it's in the movie. He is laid to rest, and these group of teens or college kids maybe they steal unknowingly, I think a necklace from his mother,
Right.
and that wakes him up to seek his necklace back. And it's been called a cozy slasher film because it's like one of those videos, those ASMR videos where it's like you
Um,
just hear the sounds of nature. It's
yes.
extremely relaxing when he's just walking through the woods and you're hearing leaves crunching and water flowing. And then you just have some really gnarly kills. I mean, I think the yoga girl, you can say yoga girl,
I
and
know.
anyone who knows. Um, that was one I heard was gnarly, and then I was like, it can't be that gnarly. And then I'm watching it, and I'm like, oh yeah, he went there.
Yeah.
Um, I maintained on Friday the 13th, everyone was bemoaning that there were no Friday the 13th movies anymore. And I said, if you watched In a Violent Nature and just pretended he was Jason,
Yeah.
you have a Friday the 13th movie.
Yes.
So
I
he's
agree.
brand new. The movie was pretty popular. I'm sure there's going to be a sequel, maybe. Um, but I wanted to give a little shine to Johnny, who is a completely brand new slasher to the world of horror.
Yeah. No, I think that's an excellent choice. And I can't agree with you more about the fact that it is just it's I don't want to say simple, but it's so simple, you know?
Yeah.
And his mask is an antique firefighter's mask. And it's striking. It kind of does throw back to that potato sack that Jason wore in Friday the 13th Part 2. And I mean, it's a great choice, man. That's a
Yeah.
great choice. I dig it.
So
You get the
my
stamp of
second,
approval.
all right. My second honorable mention is completely off the wall, but hear me out on this one.
Okay.
My second is Death from the Final Destination franchise.
Okay.
No physical appearance ever, but manages to have a complete presence that is always felt. And the creativity, the picking off of victims one by one, the constantly coming for them, and nothing can be done to stop it, gave me those vibes of Death in the Final Destination franchise as being
Yeah.
one of the ultimate slashers, an unstoppable force. And like I said, it goes back to you never see it, but when you're aware of its presence, that's your oh shoot moment. Something's going to pop off.
Listen, look at you not using curse words.
I know. I know. I'm trying not. I don't think this is a cursing podcast, so I make sure to turn it off.
I do. I think that is off the rocks there. I do like the choice, and especially since you put it as an honorable mention, I will allow it.
Wait,
But I want to ask you, what is your idea then of who Tony Todd is in the films?
in the Final Destination films?
Mhm.
You know what? I'll be honest. I didn't remember Tony Todd being in those films.
Really? So,
Is
he's like the caretaker at one point. He's like a
oh
mortician at one point,
yeah,
and he's
yeah.
always the one kind of telling them in the beginning what death is doing and coming for them. So,
Yeah, you know what? I've never really even thought about it that deeply, but now I have been because I think they're all on HBO Max.
oh, okay,
I saw them, and I even said to myself, I need to do a rewatch of all of these because I do enjoy them so much, and it
yeah.
has been a while since I've seen them all, and I want to just do a binge, watch them all in order.
And
Um,
then you can listen to Fave Five Times Death Bound Away podcast with me and Lily and Kimmy B, where we talk about all of our favorite deaths.
I'll definitely seek that one out. That one sounds
What a
right up my
great way
alley.
to round it out.
Right.
Um, so yeah, we'll have a talk afterwards then, because I have a very
Yeah. They have a theory.
cement feeling about who Tony Todd is in that film.
Do you like
And
the physical manifestation of death or some kind of harbinger of,
yep, yep, something in that neighborhood. So
yeah.
you watch it, and then we'll have a conversation about it.
Okay.
Cool.
Cool. Well, those are my honorable mentions.
All right. So I went for, I don't want to say really obscure, but when I started thinking about this list, I was trying to think about the slashers who maybe only had one appearance, or that really left, an indelible mark on my memory. So my two honorable mentions, first of all, it's Cropsy from The Burning. And if you've ever seen this movie, this is just, wow, this is a gut punch movie. I mean, it really is, because you feel so bad for this guy. And I mean, the kids basically mutilated him, burned him in a fire that he has to spend years and years getting surgeries, and it just won't fix him. The poor guy finally gets released, goes out, decides to hire a lady to get his mojo back, and she makes fun of him, and the killings begin.
Been there.
Yeah. So, Cropsy is famous for cutting the fingers off of Jason Alexander, who had hair at the time, with a pair of shears. And so I think, slashing is part of what he does with those shears. And he uses them all until the very end, when he uses like a impromptu flamethrower, I think. But Cropsy's always a movie that I have said needs a prequel, so that we find out that Cropsy, the guy before he became the killer, was maybe something else. Kind of like how Freddy had a backstory of how he got to where he was. Anyway, that's just one. So you're familiar with this one, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
The burning, the mask, of course, the shears. Oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And I got to give
Very,
a shout
very
out
much.
to Super Gus, because he's really the one who kind of made me introduced me to this one through one of our very, very first, well, the very first episode about summer camp killings.
Yeah.
So great film. So the other one is going to be, I don't know, I'll be totally surprised, but the second one is basically the maniac from Amsterdam.
Mm.
Now, have you ever seen that film?
No, that is a
Okay.
completely obscure and new one to me.
Yeah. So it is filmed in Amsterdam and is about a killer who wears like a black rubber diving suit, who has a black mask with holes cut out here over his, and then he has his goggles, and he uses the canals of
Mhm.
Amsterdam to get from one place or to another to kill some people.
Okay.
And it's just a really twisted movie. It's like from 1988, and I think it's on Amazon. I need to do a
Hmm.
better job of these, but I think it's on Amazon, and I've watched it a couple of times now. And it's one of these things where you get to the end and you're like, why is this guy a killer? You know, and it's just one of these things, he just kind of goes nuts. But it's very cool because he does use like a diver's knife to kill some people. He uses a spear gun in another one. And again, the fact that it's in the canals gives it a whole different environment and a different feel than what we're used to seeing with
I
people like this. So anyway, get a chance to see that one. That's a very interesting film, Amsterdam.
That's a fun part of doing this podcast is I get still. I mean, I consume horror, but I can't see everything. So it's
No,
always nice to get something new.
yeah. So give that one a try. All right. Well, we have finished our honorable mentions. We are now ready for your number five.
Number five might be a bit of a stretch. I don't know, but it is Daniel Robital, who is known as Candyman, 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 and I'm not saying it another time. So,
No, definitely. That's not a stretch. He definitely
all right,
slashes with that
just making
hook.
sure that was not a stretch. He is funny when you had brought up Tony Todd in the honorable mention. I was like, "Where's this one about to go?" Because I'm literally about to lead off with him. But Tony Todd, horror movie royalty. Um, Obviously, he's interesting character. He's one of the few bad guys that was killed, but actually he had a legit reason and a right to vengeance.
Right.
Um, but then that said, he's not getting vengeance on any of the people who actually caused his death. So it's kind of a little blurred line there.
Yeah.
Obviously created by Clive Barker, who's a genius.
Genius.
Um, and obviously, and Candyman has the hook. Um,
The
so
hook.
good,
Yeah. It's got
good,
a hook
good,
to get you in.
good for slashing. So, yeah, that would be. He is my number five.
How do you feel about, did you get to see the remake?
I did. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it because it wasn't really a remake because he appears in the movie.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so like it wasn't really a remake. It was more so a continuation.
Because I have not seen it.
You should see it. It was
Yeah.
good. I really enjoyed it, and yes, it all ties into where it makes sense that this is a continuation movie.
Oh, great. Great.
So yeah, I
I
would
heard good
definitely.
things about it.
It was a fun one. I would definitely see it.
Cool. All right. Well, I guess I better bring my number five then. My number five is actually two killers. And you don't know that until you get to the very end of the movie. It is Tenebrae from 1982. Have you ever seen this one?
Jesus, you just set me on a you threw a curveball. I mean, I was
Really?
getting ready to I was making the scream motion. I thought you were going full on ghost face because it's two
Nope.
killers that you don't know. And yeah, you wow, man, I swung and missed hard
So this
on
is
that one.
this is one of my favorite Argento Giallo films
Hmm.
from the 70s and 80s. Tenebrae is basically the name of a book that I think it means terror. And you've got Peter Neal, who is the author, who is in, they're in Italy. Yeah. In Italy. And someone starts killing people,
Mm.
not only in the ways of the book killing, but by stuffing pages into their mouths.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
oh, and
heard of that.
John Saxon, man, he's done like 2,000 movies. He's his like manager and talent agent. So they're over there and they're trying to work with the police to figure out who's doing this. And so I'm going to spoil this. Well, no, if you want to watch it, I won't spoil it.
No, you could spoil it. The movie's
Yeah.
been
Okay.
out since the 70s. It's yeah.
Yeah. So you find out a good ways through the movie that a kind of an entertainment reporter slash investigator, whatever, named Cristiano Berti was actually the killer who was killing these people. But then he gets killed by an axe to the head.
Mm.
Okay. So then you're like, whoa, 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 what the heck's going on? So near the end of the film, you find out that Peter Neal, the author, was actually the guy who killed the other killer.
Mm-hmm.
And when he gets basically um, caught by the police, he takes a straight razor and slashes his own neck and is dead, falls down dead. And then you find out, well, it was a fake knife and he's really there. So he's going to get away until this huge metal sculpture he gets up impaled on it and dies. So I really, really enjoyed this. It's one of my favorites of his. And it's got these weird like dream somewhat sequences, and you find out why he's a killer and what he did. And it takes a couple of times to watch it to really get what's happening and how it happened. But
Mm-hmm.
that end scene, it's in the rain. They're inside a house, but it's raining outside, and there's all this stuff going on. And he has that little inner killer voice that comes out, and just just a freaky guy. So I thought it
Yeah.
was kind of cool that not only was there a killer in the film, but there was a killer who kills the killer. So number 5, Tenebrae. It's
Nabre. I'm looking it up
Peter
now.
Neal.
I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it's only streaming on AMC Plus.
Which I just got a text from them last week from I think it was through well, it wasn't through Verizon, but anyway, I got AMC Plus for 6 months for free. So
Nice.
we're like tearing up like season 2 of the Yellow Jackets. Tina's already watched the Mayfair Witches and getting ready for season 2 of Vampire
Hmm.
Lestat. So
Yeah.
it's got some good stuff on it. But anyway, so check that one out. But before you do that, let's check out your number 4.
My number four is it's another more recent movie. But it is Joseph from the movie Creep,
Oh, he
which
is a creep. And creep
yeah,
too.
and Creep 2. And I
Yeah.
think there's a Creep 3 coming.
Oh
Um,
wow.
I need to give a shout out to my fellow Jesuit Blue Jay, Mark Duplass. We went to the same high school together. Not he was several years ahead of me, but it always feels good to see somebody from your high school doing well. And
Mhm.
Creep is a fun movie. It's a slasher found footage movie. That combines them both really well. The character of Joseph, he tricks a videographer to travel to his cabin um, under the guise that he's dying of cancer, and he wants to film a video for his kid to remember him by, only to find out that Joseph is a complete psychopath, and he just lured the person out there to eventually just play mind games and kill him. So, and then it's unveiled that he's got a whole bunch of videos where he's been doing this to a lot of people.
Wow.
Creep 2 kind of goes with the same premise. I think with Creep 2 there is like a final girl character um, where he kind of pulls a similar stunt on her, and I believe she ends up getting away. I'm not sure. It's just I've seen Creep the first one more than I've seen Creep 2, but they're excellent films that deserve a rewatch. And like I said, Mark Duplass does such a good job of acting, which is funny because he was really before that known for his comedic role in that series, The League, which is a
Oh, okay.
series about which is a series about fantasy football. He's really was well known for his comedic role, so him coming and doing this completely serious, off kilter psycho role was really
Oh, okay.
refreshing.
So that
And
was my
also,
question. He was the actor who played the creep.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
He like I think he wrote it, directed, starred in it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Triple threat.
pretty sure he did it all. And he has that terrifying wolf mask that he wears when the I guess the other part of his persona, the creep, takes over. I think you really get you can see the psycho influence in a movie like this. So, yep, number four is Joseph from the movie Creep.
That's awesome. Well, shout out to your
Yeah,
alumni there. That's awesome. Okay, well, I will go back to the 70s, the early, say 1971, and my slasher, and there's not very many of them, honestly, is going to be Edwina Hyde, as played by the beautiful Martine Beswick from Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde. So, if you've have you seen this one? So
you are rolling out the deep cuts
So
this
right
episode.
there, I actually have a lobby card. You can only see the bottom part of it, but it's from Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde. This is a spin on the original one where Edward Hyde finds out that he's got this formula to bring out, the inner whatever, but it's based on an estrogen to make it work, and so he miscalculates, and basically when he transforms into this lovely but psychotic killer, Edwina Hyde, and that's a true slasher. She goes through the movie doing all the things that like you would expect, uh, you know, Mr. Jekyll to do, but it's this hotness Victorian aged lady going around and doing it, and it's a very atmospheric film. She is incredibly sly, and you just want to fall for her, and you would fall for her after she slashes your throat. So really, really good film. Again, played by Martine Beswick, who is just was a lovely, lovely actress from that Hammer age. And if you haven't seen it, I think you should definitely try to search it out and find it. I have it on DVD, so I'm not sure where it might be streaming. Uh,
That
but
might be the way to see these movies. I might just need to borrow them from you.
there you go, physical media, man. That's the way to
Yeah,
go.
you are
Yeah.
correct.
So,
You are
well, all
correct. Love
right.
that.
Well, that is my number four. We are now going to bounce back over to your number three.
Three is going to be probably a popular choice. Maybe I cheated a little on this one, but he had to be named, and that is Art the Clown from Terrifier.
One, two, and
Um,
three.
One, two, and three. I mean, and then really before one, I think he was in a movie called All Hallows Eve.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
yeah,
I've been seeing that ad for
yeah.
that. And I'm like, that's Art the Clown.
So he was played by a different actor.
Okay.
Um, David Howard Thornton plays him now and has made the character what he is today. And apparently, when All Hallows Eve, he was played by a different actor and looked slightly different. But that's
Yeah, a little
technically
bit.
where the character got its start. But I
I
don't think
did
it's
not
in
know
any
that.
way as fun as the character is now.
Uh-huh.
Um, I feel like I had to mention Art the Clown, even though he's an obvious choice, because he's the next great horror icon. They did something that I didn't really think could be really done anymore, which is create an actual legit horror icon. I mean, you see his face on everything at the moment. Um,
He even got his
in
own
the
cereal.
Yeah, Art Krispies. I mean, every time you see Jason and Freddy and Michael Myers and all them, I mean, there's always an art picture. I don't think there's been really character created that's been a new character since maybe Jigsaw with the Saw franchise.
And so
Uh,
now there's two of those on your list, though, because
what's that?
you've got the other killer from In a Violent Nature,
Right.
you know?
Which I don't think he's gonna be as iconic as
Really?
I don't think he will. And I don't know. Like I said, that might be a complete one-off movie. He might end up falling into that Cropsy territory where,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true.
it's just that's your one-off movie and people still know who he is, but they never reach that stratospheric level of
Like art's
popularity,
doing. Yeah.
like
Okay.
art is currently doing. I mean, you have an unrated movie right now that is number one at the box office,
Yeah.
an unrated horror movie that
Wow.
is not, people have been calling it torture porn, but it's really not torture porn. Torture porn is movies like Hostel, maybe even Saw. Those are torture porn because they try to make it look realistic.
Hmm.
This is more, I would call it gore porn, where it's so over the top, disgustingly vile that it doesn't even, in my mind, register as real.
Right.
While Saw or Hostel, they make it very real feeling, like
Right.
actual being tortured. This is absolutely bonkers bananas with some of the stuff. I mean, just Terrifier 2. He like, I think he skins a woman and then rubs her down with salt, and then you think it's over, and then he comes waltzing in with a bottle of bleach. And it's just like, it's so much, and it's so fun, and it's so psychotic to even say it's fun, but it kind of is. Art might be, he might be the scariest clown in movie history right now. Um, but what I really think is that David Howard Thornton is doing for Art the Clown what Robert Englund did for Freddy.
I got you.
And he's creating an iconic horror character. So I feel very I feel very good about Art the Clown being on this list.
Okay.
He deserves it.
There you go. All right. I will go with that. And I just looked it up real quick. I'm sure you've seen Bone Tomahawk.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh
I was
yeah.
wondering what came out first, Terrifier or Bone Tomahawk, and it was Terrifier. It came out in 2014, and in 2015 was Bone Tomahawk.
I guess the thing is you don't know though when were the films actually filmed.
That's true too. Um,
Um,
but they
but
still got that inverted, you know.
yeah, they got an inverted saw, which
Yeah.
which Terrifier did it to a woman and Tomahawk did it to a man.
Yep.
So everybody got represented. Um,
Everybody.
everybody. But so number three, Art the Clown, Terrifier. I still need to see Terrifier 3, and I need to go see it soon. I'm gonna be the only psycho amongst my friends who is probably gonna go see it.
Yeah.
Um, that is not a movie I'm gonna subject my poor wife to.
Well, that's awesome. Well, all right. Well, I'm going to parry that with my number three, which I've just realized matches up to somebody else in my list. I am talking about the French 2003 film High Tension. Um, this movie so impressed me. It definitely could only kind of be a one-off type thing because it has this huge twist in it, and so the movie starts out with this guy in like a jumpsuit with I mean, he looks like a line worker or something. Comes in and just kills these people in the family, and just different slashes and knocks a head off with a dresser,
Yeah.
all of these things, and then kidnaps the daughter and her friend Marie, who was staying with them. I think they were studying for a test or something. She hides out and is able to finally get away and follows them to try to free her friend. And you've seen this movie, I know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
You're
Um,
skipping, I think, how it really starts, which is the man giving himself oral sex with what you find
uh,
out to be a severed head,
yeah,
which is
yeah, I left
hell
that part out.
hell of a start. I mean, that is your again shoot
we
moment
Yeah, we
where
need to buckle up. It's going to be a bumpy
you
ride.
yeah, you realize this movie sets the tone immediately, and you're like, okay, it's gonna be that kind of movie.
Yeah. So this guy is depraved. He has no emotion other than a burning rage to inflict pain, suffering, and death on everybody he comes up against. And then in a twist, which I never saw coming, I don't know about you, you
Mhm.
find out that it's not the killer that we keep seeing, that it's actually Marie with a
Mhm.
split personality. And so all of the things that we're seeing from his point of view are actually her point of view. And so, and again, another female character. This time she slashes with I think it's like a concrete saw with that huge blade. And oh man, it's just a messed up film. But again, I thought it was extremely innovative and new way to do it. Yeah, we'll always sometimes have somebody like, I mean, you go back to Jason's Bomb, but you kind of knew something's up with Jason's Bomb to begin with. For me, I
Correct.
didn't see this coming at all, and she does a good job of making some lives end up short and the rest of them miserable. So I would definitely say to check out. I can't speak French. Haute tension, la croissant, um,
Yeah.
from 2003.
The French in the 2000s had some pretty extreme movies. I mean,
Yeah.
you had High Tension. You also had Martyrs that came out,
Oh
I think,
God.
I think a few years later. And Martyrs is one of those where, like, if you think you're hard and you can handle this stuff, go watch Martyrs. And who, man, Martyrs made me squirm a few times, and I very rarely squirm when it comes to movie gore because I can detach myself from being entertained, but knowing it's not real.
Yeah.
And even Martyrs, yeah, that made me wince quite a few times.
Yeah.
But yeah, the French are crazy.
Yeah. And the thing was too is that with when watching Martyrs, you're like, I could see people doing this,
Hmm.
because you go back and you look at the things like the Crusades and uh, the Spanish Inquisitions and burning of the witch trials. People have these things that get into their head where they feel they are justified and that they are doing God's work. Um, and the things that they can do in the name of a
Yeah.
deity is just
It's scary.
outrageous.
It's scary because it's torturing like with a purpose.
Yeah,
Not because they're like psychotic and depraved and they just want to hurt you. This is like they think they're righteous and actually doing this for good, which
right.
is the premise of Martyrs strangely makes sense. Like their reasoning makes sense
Ex-
of what they're doing and why, but the way they have to get there is
Yeah.
ugh. Well,
And you
anyway,
take
go
two
watch.
steps back and you realize this
Yeah.
is cuckoo for cocos. But
Yeah. So, listening audience, whenever somebody asks you what horror movie should I watch, just recommend them Martyrs.
yeah, yeah.
Recommend them Martyrs and get ready. That's what I recommend to everybody. They're like, "What should I
Really?
watch?" I'm like, watch Martyrs.
Marsh Marsh,
Uh,
the French version. Because
the
I think
French
they
version.
redid it, right?
Yeah, they remade it. I think in 2015 or so. But like, I don't think I've seen the remake. But there's no way the remake goes as hard as the original. Which,
Yeah.
yeah, it would make Art the Clown proud.
All right. Well, that is a good place for us to stop and talk a little bit about all of the things that are keeping you up at night, in a good way, because October Night's Press is just killing it right now. One of the first things I want to give you the opportunity to talk about is a new game that's coming up. But before we do that, October has been a really great month because Patch, your latest book, is in the top 100 on the Godless list and top 10 now.
Hmm.
Top 10. Oh my God, I put too many zeros there. Um,
The top 1,000. It's 997, baby.
but it's still up there, baby. So
Yeah.
and so people throughout this month can still get it on godless.com,
Hmm.
and it's a special. How long does that price last?
Until through October, for the month of
Through October.
October.
Yeah.
Yep. I wanted
Um,
to make it just nice and affordable for the month of October as my Halloween gift to everyone.
oh,
Hopefully it's a treat, not a trick when they read it. But yeah, Godless is a wonderful website. Drew Stepik is the owner of the website. I mean, it's kind of like an Amazon for independent horror readers.
yeah.
It's a place where you can get more. mainstream books like my books and other books by, kind of those mid-level authors. Or you can get totally depraved books that would never get published on Amazon. I think that's kind of where they've really hit their niche, has been with the splatterpunk and the extreme horror community. They have been able to get um, what they want to read through Godless, where Amazon would never allow it.
Yeah. Like
Godless only,
Fetal Vengeance.
yeah, or Baby in a Blender is another one, or like just can't say they're my cup of tea, but there's some people read them, people love them as long as they're reading. Somebody told me that at a show. Their kid, their 8-year-old, wanted to buy Cannibal Fat Camp, and the mom was like, "I don't care what she reads as long as she's reading." And I'm kind of like, well, yeah, but
Yeah.
okay, do whatever.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
this is
Here's a
on.
copy.
This is yeah. This is in your hands now, Mom. So I don't want to hear about it. But yeah, Godless is a wonderful website, and they have hundreds and hundreds of authors on there. They are always putting out a new book almost daily. Drew has releases almost daily at this point. So for my book, The Patch has remained in the top 10. It will probably
Top
finish
100.
top 10.
Yeah,
Top 10.
it's still in the top 100.
Well, it's in the top 100. Yeah, it's in the top 1 million right now.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
but right now it's in the top 10. It got as high as number 2 overall, which is wonderful. I think right
Number
now
two.
it's yeah, right. Right now it's floating around number 6 or 7. And look, there have been really popular releases almost every day this month, and it's still hanging around, which means people are still buying it and giving it a chance. And to me, it is my love letter to this season, and I am just so happy people are reading it and hopefully they're enjoying it. And I should be getting physical copies in soon, so I'll be able to start selling those at shows. And I'm very excited to finally have this book in print.
Yeah. And it's doing better than Katie the Kink Demon right now. So, I mean,
That was my number 2 on my slasher list. Katie, Katie the King Demon. Damn it, it's spoiled.
yeah. So I will look
But
forward to getting a physical copy of that.
yeah,
I bought my copy and I bought a couple of your other books on there just to have them in digital.
yeah, for people who like digital, I mean, that is, I always recommend, authors get a higher percentage of royalty rates through Godless. It's a much better deal than what, we get through Amazon. So, if it's a thing where someone's like, I only want to read digital books, I try to steer them toward Godless because it supports a really good guy who has done a lot for the independent horror community.
Yeah. How are they associated with like Screenbox and Retro
I'm not
Crush
sure.
stuff?
I'm not sure. I guess he worked out some kind of deal or sponsorship with Screenbox because I saw he's been promoting. Um, you get a 30-day free Screenbox or something. He is Drew Stepik again. He always goes the extra mile when it comes to advertising. He's a really really talented graphic designer and marketeer based out of Los Angeles.
Mhm.
And every book he releases on there gets their own special graphics, their own special announcements. It's really, he goes above and beyond,
That's
more
awesome.
so more so than most. So that's why I'm very adamant about supporting what he's doing and making sure that website stays around. Um, because it's hard out there for an author.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hard trying to get noticed. You're one of, man, when you start thinking about how many people write books and then how many people write not even just horror, every genre out there. I mean,
Yeah.
we're talking millions of people. And then I always feel honored when people spend their money with me because you have a lot of other choices and you chose me. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I do it because your dad sends me $5 a month.
well, I hope he does.
Yeah.
I wish he sent me that.
Your dad's a big fan of the show.
Yeah,
he's one of the 22. We made the jump from 19 to 22.
right,
So yeah. So thanks, Dad.
right. You're taking off in the Hot Springs, Arkansas market. So,
He was going to do Fave Five Sons, but when I saw his preliminary list and you weren't on it, I was like, ugh.
He's gonna do Fave Five moments. Mark disappointed me.
That was a
There'd be
tough
so
list for him.
there'd be so many
Tough
honorable
list.
mentions. So
So these are the top 10 from the 80s, and these are from the 90s.
ooh, use that T word. So
All right. Well, so you've also got a big announcement about Escape from Tum Tum, from Camp
yes,
Tum Tum, the Cannibal Fat Camp game. What's that going on?
that's so fun. My brother-in-law and I, Wesley, we created Escape from Camp Tum Tum. We're finally this week, hopefully, going to be receiving our physical copies so we can officially debut it at the Little Wars Fair in Baton Rouge this weekend, this Saturday. And we got the paperback proof in, and it looked great. We got the hardback proof in, and it looked great. So now we are, yeah, we're full speed ahead. You can currently buy the PDF and the hardback, I believe, on drivethrurpg.com. It is a fun, goofy, gory game where we have just captured the essence of the book and put it into a playable tabletop role play game where you, the player, are now a camper and you are trying to survive on the island until help arrives while you have the main antagonist and his group of bloodthirsty cannibals after you the entire time. The game involves strategy, survival horror esque, where it can be as serious as you want it to be, or it can be as slapsticky and off the wall as you want it to be. And we did a play test with a bunch of friends. We had an absolute blast, and we laughed so hard through our 5 or 6 sessions. It was so ridiculous, so depraved. And these were people, my friends, they're really not into horror the way that I'm into it. And
Yeah.
oh my God, they made me blush a few times with some of the things they did and some of their creativity. Um, it was a great time. So we are very excited for the game to be on sale, and hopefully it'll reach an audience that really loves and appreciates it.
Well, where will you be able to buy it?
Well, so you will be able to buy physical copies on my website, octobernightspress.com. You can buy it on Amazon as well. We will have um, physical copies available to buy on Amazon. You can also buy it on drivethrurpg.com. I'll probably provide you all the links
Okay.
because it's brand new. So like it's in its with Amazon, when you upload stuff that's brand new, it takes a while for it to actually start coming up through searching.
Yeah.
Um, but it's on there, and yeah, it's gonna be pretty much available where all my books are available, and then I'll have physical copies at shows going forward.
Okay. But if at all possible, buy it direct from you because that way
Of
you get
course,
more of the money.
of course, I get more of the money. I can sign it. I can also, like I said, it is always better buying directly from me.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. And then you've also got a new anthology where you're getting ready to send out requests for submissions. What's that about?
Yeah, so that has been a really fun project. I'm working with a good friend of mine. Her name is Kelly Hardy. She's a former school teacher. I believe she has her master's in fine arts and education, and she is a incredibly smart, brilliant editor who also happens to love horror and just um, was trying to find a way that she wanted to do a book. And I was trying to find a way to get more offerings from my press where I maybe don't have to be so involved in doing everything.
Right.
Um, so this is going to be her book that she's going to edit, that I'm going to publish. And it is, I think we're still working on a name for it, but it's going to pretty much be new tales of cryptids, mythological monsters, and folklore. We want to take the old stuff and we want to make new legends out of those things.
Yeah.
Um, so for people that love their cryptids, love their mythological beast, we will have a book full of new stories for you to consume.
I think you should call
And
it Big Pages.
This, oh, I might. I think we have a name picked out, but like I said, still going back and forth on the names, going back and forth on the cover art as well. But I'm looking forward. We're going to open. I'm going to officially announce it November 1st. We're going to accept submissions January 1st, I believe, to March.
Oh,
And then
wow.
and then from there we'll start the editing process. So this is probably looking to be done by the end of next year, if I had
Okay.
to guess. And then
Wow.
the last thing is the thing everyone kind of is aware of, and that's Gabagool.
Oh, cool.
I'm editing that anthology with my brother-in-law Wesley. We are starting the edits now. We just finished the first 5 stories. We'll be sending those to authors. And again, the goal for that one is to have it ready by February.
Awesome.
That is the hope. So yeah, lots of stuff. And then there's a bunch of other projects going on that I really still can't talk about because they're not off the ground yet. They're not fleshed out officially. Contracts haven't been signed, but there are other projects in the works.
Monies need to be, filtered your way. Envelopes have
Right.
to be full of cash. And I get
Mhm.
it. I get it.
That's what it is. This is what all this independent writing and is. It's just so much money. So,
I can tell.
yeah, just so wealthy.
All right. Well, lots to do. So again, October 9th press is the place to go and buy all of that good stuff and go and do now because it's
Yeah,
October. It's time to do
yeah.
it. Uh,
Pause this podcast
whoa, whoa,
and go
whoa, whoa, whoa,
and go
whoa.
buy something.
Just hold. No, they don't have to pause it. You can
I guess they could leave
open
a
another
window,
window.
open another browser. That's fine. Do that
They,
too.
all right. Well, back to the lists.
A
We are
list.
now at your penultimate choice, your number 2 favorite slasher and the movie that they were in. Take it away, Mr. Mark Scioneaux,
I just
author,
panicked. I
editor,
panicked.
Bram
I,
Stoker Award finalist, editor, Mark
I
Scioneaux.
panicked just now, and I changed my number 2 while we were talking.
What? You told me you changed it from before we got started.
It's had 3 different number 2s.
So it's your number 6. No,
It's. I
what?
think
No,
it
I'm not good
deserves
at
to
math.
be number 2. You're going to totally be on board with it. I can
Okay.
tell you. Do you want to know? We can wait till it's over, and I can tell you what my other numbers 2A and 2B and 2C. I can tell you what they
Mr.
were.
Mr. Sino, are you listening to your son?
I
I'm just,
panicked.
man.
I made a choice literally after number 5. Number
Give it to
2,
us.
and I am totally fine with this, and I
I'm
think
going
you
to
will
write
be
it in
too.
pencil though, because
This is
not
it,
pen.
it goes off it goes off of your previous one about women doing it for themselves, and that is Angela Baker, Sleepaway Camp, number 2.
Yes, she kills with a
Yeah,
knife. She kills with a well. I don't know. She doesn't kill with a hornet's nest or a hair curler or an unim, unimaginable pot of boiling water and corn, but I
she's creative.
definitely think she's an awesome slasher.
She is creative. Um, the influences of Friday the 13th are felt and seen. You're almost slapped over the head with them
Mm-hmm.
in this movie. But unlike a lot of the cheap knockoffs and those just trying to capitalize on Friday the 13th's fame, Sleepaway Camp became an iconic film all to itself
Right.
and managed to also spawn a few sequels as well. Um, Even though none
Four.
of those sequels, yeah, 4, I know at least 2 and 3.
Well, they were 4 and 5.
Oh, really? None
Yeah,
of them
because
have
four
gotten.
kind of never got released, but I have
Okay,
the
that's right.
unofficial version of it,
Yeah,
and then 5 came out.
and they never really got the attention or popularity that the first one. It's always the first one. It's not like Friday the 13th, 2, 3, 4, and so on, and then
Right.
Nightmare on Elm Street and Halloween. Nobody's rewatching really the sequels to Sleepaway Camp, but
I
the
am.
first one, except for Jamie, but the
Bruce
first
Springsteen's
one,
a sister is awesome.
that's true. But Sleepaway Camp is, like I said, I could not make this list without Angela Baker on it. Um, we talked about sleepaway camp in death, I think, on the previous episode of Fave 580's movies. So there's really not much more to say about it that hasn't already been said. But Angela Baker fits the role as one of the iconic slashers of all time.
Right. I totally agree. And you can't talk about this movie without talking about Felissa Rose and how incredible of a person she is,
Mm-hmm.
and an actress.
Mm-hmm.
She is just one. And I'll give you a perfect example of that. When there were five of them at a con together in Texas, I was able to get, and you could kind of see it there above my head, that paddle. I have,
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah,
have,
yeah, yeah. You showed me
yeah,
the pep.
and
Yeah.
I could not get Felisa to sign it because it was her birthday weekend, and the entire convention, it was wrapped around with people waiting in line, and so
Mm-hmm.
many of them had little gifts or little
Mm-hmm.
things to give her, cards or whatever. Um, and just her fans love her, and there's a reason why. It's because she stops and talks to every single one of them
Yeah.
like a
She's
person.
very she's very generous with her time. She's very one of those actresses or actors that you really feel how they're so thankful. Um, she's up there with like Patty Mullen with
Yes.
Frankenhooker. Yeah, I've met, doing these conventions now more and more, especially doing these horror conventions. I've met so many actors that have just been so genuinely friendly, um, and thankful that these fans still show this joy and appreciation for movies that are going on 40 plus years of
Yeah.
being having been released. Um, and then I've met so many that are almost bitter and resentful that their career has I won't name any of them, but I've met a few that it almost feels like you're doing them a favor by meeting them. And
Yeah.
they're also so bitter that their career never took off past this iconic bit role as a horror icon. When you think about the millions of actors out there that would kill to just be, they could be slashers, that would kill to be in their position.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, so yeah, Felissa Rose is beloved in the community just because she is such a warm and genuine person, and she's so happy even now,
Yes.
40 plus years later, happy to discuss something she's probably discussed a billion times.
Yeah, literally. I mean, she's thousands upon thousands of times because everybody loves her. Um, that is an excellent choice, though. I mean, good for you for
I, I,
blinking at the very last minute and changing it again.
I panicked. I panicked. She was originally number five, then left her off the list entirely. Then, yeah, there was, like I told you, my list it's fluid. My list is fluid. It's a
Uh,
process.
wow. Okay. Well, that's a good one. That's a good one. So I'm going to have to come back pretty strong. And this is a character who this movie does not get talked about enough, and it's filled with so many amazing actors and actresses. But I am going to have to choose Johnny Bartlett. Okay, can you
Hmm.
tell? Does that ring any bells?
The name sounds
Yeah,
very familiar.
that is Jake Busey's portrayal in The Frighteners.
Hmm.
Okay, and you also have to say, D. Wallace's portrayal of Patricia Bradley. Both of them are based on true serial killers, but
Hmm.
man, the fact that Johnny Bartlett is not only a serial killer, but then he comes back as a serial killing ghost,
Hmm.
and just, oh man, his whole portrayal where he cuts the numbers into their foreheads, and of course, Michael J. Fox's portrayal in that movie is just fantastic. I mean, he's all the right combinations of sad and tragic and You also kind of don't like him because he's taking advantage of people, but he's
Hmm.
also taking advantage of ghosts. But just all of these things. Johnny Bartlett is just a literally demonic serial killer, and he loves to slash where Patricia loves to shoot. I think more than anything. So great movie. I'm sure you've seen this movie.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's one of those movies, like you said, that it thinks it's going one way, it goes a different way. It really is a roller coaster of funny, scary,
Arlie
sad.
Armory's Ghost
Yeah,
is
yeah, oh
amazing.
yeah. He's amazing in every role
Yeah.
that he's in. Yeah, it's actually a movie I'd seen it a long time ago and rewatched it. Not even kind of recently, to where it's still at least sort of fresh in my memory. But it is a enjoyable movie.
Yeah.
That's a great pick. That's a very obscure pick too. You've been
Yeah. And the great thing about that movie is that's one of the best things I should say is its VHS cover.
hmm
It was a lenticular cover. So when you
hmm
look at it one way, you kind of see there's that face, and then when you move it, it looks like it kind of comes out at you. And I'm all about those cool VHS covers.
Yeah, that'd be a
Um,
fun one. Fave 5 horror VHS covers.
well, actually,
Actually.
Spencer Martins, who runs the
Yeah, yeah.
he and I are
You're,
working on that list already.
are you really?
Yeah, we're
That's
going to be
fun.
recording in November.
Excellent.
Great guy, is
Super
just
friendly. Yeah.
super friendly. Is actually coming up to the Plastic Microphone Studios for us to
Oh,
be
wow.
able to record here. And
Don't
I
don't give me a story prompt about a psychotic podcaster that lures people into his home in Lafayette to record a podcast when speak
well,
closer into the mic and the mic is spiked with this. Oh man, that might be a
oh,
story. We might be doing a story prompt.
there you go. Though, talking about Arlie, I just watched a movie because you always see him as like the gunny sergeant
Right.
or one of those things. I just watched a movie the other day. It was a bad like sci-fi type movie. I'm trying to look it up while we're talking.
Hmm.
Where he is actually the captain of a submarine, and it was just so weird to see. Oh, it was called The Rift.
Okay.
Um, yeah, it was really just really bad. Um,
Hmm.
Jack Scalia, Ray Weiss is in it, and it was really cool to see him, as a Navy guy versus
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
always see him as Marines or Army.
Yeah. Marine or Army or a
Yeah,
drill
yeah,
sergeant.
it was cool. But
I, I,
anyway,
I still love his portrayal in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake.
oh yeah,
Oh,
oh
he's
for
so
sure.
wonderful. He's wonderful. I don't even think he's
Yeah,
acting. I don't think he acts. I think he
yeah.
just go in there as you.
I think he was just him. And
Right.
when he passed, it was like, man, you go back and you look, dude was in 123 films or shows. Because I know he was on Space Above and Beyond too. Um,
Hmm.
that could be a whole list right there. As a matter of fact, let me write that down.
Yeah, that'd be a good
Harley,
one.
that would make a good one. And no, you can't have that one. You already have 11 others.
That's fine. I gotta save some for the other folks.
All right. Well, enough messing around. I want to know who your favorite slasher is and what movie they were in.
My number one is not going to be creative, but it is the right choice. It is the best choice. It is the grandfather of the modern day slasher, and that is Norman Bates from Psycho.
Mm,
Mild-mannered man who would dress as his mother and kill people at night. Um, Without Anthony Perkins and Alfred Hitchcock, we don't have any of these movies that we have probably listed or movies that we love. Um, yeah, Norman Bates is Anthony Perkins. He's fantastic. I mean, the original Psycho is an absolute. I really don't
masterpiece.
feel like I should have to sell anybody on it. I think there's probably people that are like, ew, black and white, old movie. Um, but God, it transcends it. It's such a masterful movie. It's one of the
Yes.
best horror movies of all time for a reason. And like I said, what can be said about Norman Bates and Psycho that hasn't that would be anything new?
Yeah.
But I feel like, yeah, he's number one. He's my number one. Um, should be
Number
listed
one
up
with
there.
no bullets.
No, should be listed up there with all the others, and he really think he gets left out because the others had the grand sequels. They came out in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. They had more flash and the iconic masks and maybe the merchandising. I don't know. Maybe if
And
Psycho,
the red
maybe if
blood.
and the Red Blood, maybe if Psycho had came out in the 80s or the 70s, I don't know. Maybe it'd be more, you'd see it more, but you
Yeah.
really just don't. But without Norman Bates and Psycho, there are no Michael Myers or Freddy or Jason or any of these characters.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
That's
I
my number
agree.
one.
That is a great pull. He actually never even came on my list. But
Huh. Yeah.
that's great. You're totally right. And I really loved the sequel, um, the
Hmm.
Psycho 2, because I thought it was a great way to bring us back into his world. And it was a good treatise on mental health. I thought, when it was back then, it was okay. We're going to lock him away, and
Right.
then you find out later, okay, well, we need to rehabilitate him and quote unquote cure him, and did they? And when you find out all of these things going on, I mean, it was a
Right.
really good film, especially the whole scene where she's eating the ice. That's in the second one, right? Eating the ice
Hmm.
out of the yeah. That's such a good scene, you know.
Yeah.
So okay, well, I guess it's time for me, and I've kind of touched on this killer, um, a little bit, but not enough to do it. We were before the show. I was showing you some of the lobby cards and stuff that I picked up in Vegas, some really cool ones. But I saved this one because it's my number one guy. And I picked up this cool Japanese program about the movie Time After Time with our killer, John Leslie Stevens,
Hmm.
also known as Jack the Ripper.
Wow.
So, this have you ever seen this movie?
No, no, I have
Okay,
not.
put this movie on your list now. Move it to the top of your list
Off to
and
IMDb I
watch it.
go right
Okay.
now.
David Warner stars as John Leslie Stevens, a British surgeon in the 1800s, who goes to his friend Herbert Gordon or H.G.
Yeah,
Wells,
she was.
um,
Yeah.
for a gentleman's dinner with some other guys, where Wells tells his friends that he has perfected his time machine and that he's going to use it to go forward in time. Jump forward to a couple of days later while he's getting preparations. Leslie shows back up to the house, and you find out he is being pursued by the Bobbies because he is Jack the Ripper. And he uses the machine to jump forward in time to 1979's to San Francisco. And the machine has this key in it that if you don't have the key, the machine goes back. So it shows back up, and Wells has to basically follow him into the future because it's his fault that he got away. And then Mare Steenburgen's in it. And of course, Malcolm McDowell is the one who plays Wells. Just really, really, really good film. It's Nicholas Meyer's directorial debut. He did 7% Solution, but also the best Star Trek movie ever, Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. Really, definitely worth finding. I don't know if it's streaming.
It's not. I mean,
It's
it's on
not.
Amazon. It's on Amazon to rent, but if
Is it a
this is it,
$3.99 rent?
yeah, I think it's a three
Yeah.
ninety
Yeah.
nine, right?
I will give you the $3.99 back
I
if you
think
don't enjoy this movie.
I might have some credits to use, but is this one you have on DVD?
It is.
I might have take your list when we're done and make me a stack of movies and just give them to me so I can yeah, man, you're
Yeah,
going with
yeah,
time after time. I'm just singing the Cyndi Lauper song.
yeah. And there's
Um,
the Christopher Reeve movie, like a romance movie as
yeah,
well, a romance through time or something like that.
yeah, that's what
But
it sounds like. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that's fun. Yeah, make me a stack of DVDs. Next time I see you, let me I'll watch all these movies.
I'll get right on that, Mr. Sino.
Thank you. It's
Uh,
the least you could do for me.
it is. It really is. I mean,
Right.
I should be able to do so much more for you.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
all right. Well, I'm glad that I have been able to expose you um, to some other slashers out there that you're not familiar with. That makes my day. You can stream Amsterdam for yourself, I believe, for free on Amazon, and I'll put these others together for you.
yeah, yeah. Put me a little Jamie Ray movie package.
That's it.
And then
And
I can do Fave 5 Jamie Ray recommendations.
yeah,
So I guess
that's an episode
I
all to itself.
was gonna say now that we've finished our list, I can tell you that my original number two,
I was
which I
going to ask you.
wasn't really happy about the original number two, but it was the Creeper from Jeepers Creepers.
Oh yeah,
Um and like I liked it enough, but I didn't love it. So I kind of just had him in as a placeholder.
yeah,
And then I panicked. First time I panicked, and I replaced him with John Kramer, the Jigsaw killer from Saw.
yes,
And then as we started talking more, I then realized how much of a stretch that one would be. I don't know what category John Kramer even goes into at this point.
his own.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he would fit into that thing with if you had a list with Hannibal Lecter and the killer from Seven and yeah, maybe Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs as well. Like, maybe like if you start putting them in that category. Um, so yeah, midway through, I panicked. I had Angela Baker on the list. Then I just figured, you know what? I just talked about Sleepaway Camp. So then I left her off. And then while we were talking, I midway said, you know what? Putting her back on the list. And
Yeah, I approve of that last
yeah,
minute substitution.
I knew you would. So I was like, all right, good. And regardless, she deserves to be on the list.
Yes,
So
you are correct.
So yeah,
Well, awesome.
this was a fun one. Not as hard as I thought it was going to be. There are a lot of great movies, a lot of great killers, and
There are.
like I said, you opened my eyes to so many new movies that I now have to watch. It was like the '80s one we did. I went and watched all the movies I hadn't seen really before.
Yeah.
Can't say I
Well,
liked them as much as you, but that's fine. That's your list. That's what
you
makes it
know, I hate to
beautiful.
say this, but I respect your opinion. What do you
Let's end it
what do
there.
you think
Good
about
night, everybody.
about Wolf Cop?
Oh, that was fun. I saw it
Okay.
once. I saw it once and it was fun. Um, it was a fun movie. I can't say I remember much of it. I think Wesley and I watched it together because it was streaming somewhere at the time, and I think
Yeah.
yeah, I remember us watching it and just having a good time. It's kind of like another slasher that could have been on this list was Maniac Cop.
Yes.
Yeah, like that was another one.
He
There was
definitely slashed.
the killer in Black Christmas was one that could have been on the list. Yeah, some of these movies are just they didn't really stick with me like the characters from the movies on my eventual list.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you too. It's like I when I started that list, I knew that you probably had never seen, probably never even heard of Amsterdam because
No.
I don't see it on very many lists at all, and it has its problems, but it's just such a unique killer and his look and everything. Um, like I said, that one you won't get your money back if you don't want, but telling you, telling you,
Yeah, it doesn't even come up as like a option when you click it in IMDb. It's
yeah,
like when did it come out?
Uh, 1988. And
Okay, yeah,
so it's on Wikipedia.
yeah.
Wikipedia. Um,
Wikipedia.
and do look up Dick Maas, Maas.
Oh, Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Okay, well that comes up. I
Oh,
was looking up Amsterdam, the city.
oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
it's damned like it's been,
Oh,
cursed.
yeah. A hard-boiled police detective sets out to capture a gruesome serial killer terrorizing the canals of Amsterdam.
Yeah. Yeah.
God, they were so proud of themselves when they
Oh,
came up with
they
that title. Amsterdam, Amsterdam. Like you're a genius. Oh my God. They
were.
got some this is incredible. So I'm on IMDb right now and they're showing like a video preview of it.
Uh-huh.
They just showed like a scene where the person like sticks a knife through like a rubber raft and then drags the person over a boat. So that's incredible.
Shades of Sleepaway Camp.
Very much so. 1988. I think
Yeah.
Sleepaway Camp was what was Sleepaway Camp?
It was
80,
86 or 7.
I think so.
Oh,
Maybe 80, maybe 88. No, that would have been too early. Sleepaway Camp was 83.
83. Okay. There you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, they definitely ripped them off.
Amsterdam. I'll be Amsterdammed.
Yes, you will if you watch this movie.
So cool. Well, I like I said, I will seek out as much as I can and find on streaming, and what I
And I'll make you
cannot,
a
I will,
stack.
yeah, make me a stack and
I'll
let
make
me
you a
let me
stack.
start going through these.
Yeah. And then you can thank me for just exposing you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for exposing yourself to me. So that's that's only for the people who watch the video version of this podcast.
Exactly. You don't want any of this. All right. And I also want to thank all of you out there in the podcast universe for listening to this episode of Fave 5 for Fans or watching it if you're watching it right now. And again, sorry that you have to see this face. We hope you enjoyed the episode. And if you did, please leave us a 5-star review, unless it's like a 10-star scale, and then leave us 10 stars. If it's a 3-star, you can leave us a 3, just whatever the maximum amount of stars is, or checks, or whatever to, Am I getting that through you? Yeah. Okay. Um, don't forget, it's a free way that you can help to grow the show and all of the shows that are coming from the Plastic Microphone Studios. And if you like it, consider telling a friend about it. And if you don't like it, consider letting them watch Amsterdam, and then they'll know about it, and then they'll hate you. Not you though, Mark. You'll love it.
Mhm.
We invite you to interact with us on Twitter/X, or on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, or one of those many multiple things. New episodes come out on Fridays, so be sure to subscribe and follow us so you can catch all of the episodes. And remember, folks, it may not be the best, it may not be the most popular, but if it's your favorite, then that's good enough for us. Thanks for joining us. Mark, take us out.
Kids, as a 41-year-old man, I feel like I can speak to you when I say do not be Skibbity Ohio Riz. Watch slasher movies. All of us cool kids are doing it.
Mr. Sino, I'm so sorry.